Time has a way of slipping right through a person's hands, and most people don't even notice how fast it moves until something wakes them up. There is a reason why a short stretch of focused attention can shape the direction of many years ahead. A person's future does not shift because of a giant moment. It shifts because of a clear moment, a quiet moment. A moment when the mind stops jumping around and finally stays with one thought long enough to understand what needs to be done. That is why half an hour of real attention carries more weight than days of scattered effort. When someone decides to sit still, breathe with intention, and notice what is going on inside their own mind, the world around them begins to respond in a different way. It may sound simple, but simple things become powerful when a person is honest with themselves. Those 30 minutes become the turning point that many people search for over decades without realizing that it was available the entire time. Most people walk through their day pulled by noise, distractions, screens, and conversations that drain energy instead of building it. They move fast, but rarely. That kind of life creates stress, frustration, and a feeling that nothing is changing no matter how hard they try. When someone chooses 30 minutes of calm intention, their mind stops racing and starts aligning. It becomes easier to see what matters. It becomes easier to notice how they have been holding themselves back, not because they are weak or incapable, but because too many things compete for their attention. The human mind works best when it is steady, not tense, not rushed, just awake. In those minutes of steady focus, a person sees the road ahead without fog. They feel their own thoughts clearly. They sense the direction that has been calling them for years. This clarity is not loud. It is quiet, and that quiet is often where the next 7 years begin to shift. There is a kind of strength that rises in a person when they give themselves uninterrupted time. It feels like the world slows down for a moment and hands them a chance to restart. During these minutes, the mind stops wandering back to old mistakes or jumping ahead into imagined fears. Instead, attention stays on what can be built from this exact moment forward. That is the moment where confidence begins to grow in a real way. Not the confidence that comes from pretending to be strong, but the confidence that comes from knowing that change is possible through steady effort. Becomes sharper. A person feels the weight of their breath, the rhythm of their heartbeat, the air around them settling. That physical awareness supports mental awareness, and mental awareness supports life choices that create better days and better years. Those 30 minutes they show that a person has far more control over their future than they once believed. Not total control, but enough to change direction, enough to stop old habits and build new ones, enough to step out of the cycle of rushing and worrying and step into a cycle of planning and building. A focused half hour gives a person the space to review their current path without judgment. They can look at the routines that help them and the routines that hurt them. They can understand what they want more of and what they want less of. This kind of awareness becomes the foundation for the next 7 years. It becomes the anchor that keeps them steady when life becomes noisy again. Something meaningful happens when someone gives their full attention to themselves. They begin to notice how often they settle for less than they want. They notice how easily they get pulled away from their purpose. They notice how many hours disappear each week without creating anything valuable. That awareness is not pleasant at first, but it is necessary. It sparks a desire to take back control. It creates a sense of urgency, but not the kind that stresses a person out. It is the kind that encourages them to act with intention. That is, when the possibility of a better 7-year future becomes real. Change begins with awareness, and awareness begins with focus. During these 30 minutes, something else rises to the surface: courage. The courage to face uncomfortable truths. The courage to admit that some patterns must end. The courage to believe that a better future is not only possible, but reachable. When a person gives themselves quiet time, they hear their own inner voice more clearly. They feel their goals not as distant wishes, but as choices they can make. They sense their potential not as something to dream about, but as something to work toward every day. These emotions matter. When someone feels the weight of their own possibilities, they begin to treat their time differently. They stop wasting hours on activities that bring no progress. They stop giving energy to people who drain them. They stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes only to what brings growth. A half hour of real focus teaches discipline. Not the harsh kind, but the honest kind. The kind that reminds a person that every strong future starts with structure. When someone chooses to use 30 minutes with intention, they discover how much can be done in a small window of time. They see that progress does not require long stretches of work. It requires consistent attention. Those 30 minutes can guide what they do with the next hour, the next day, the next week. And when that pattern repeats, life begins to shift in ways that surprise them. If someone stays with that habit even once a day, they start to notice things they once ignored. They feel more present during conversations. They find themselves thinking before reacting. They handle challenges with a calmer mind. They follow through on their plans instead of stopping halfway. They make decisions that support their growth rather than decisions that give quick comfort but long-term frustration. These small changes add up. They turn into new opportunities, stronger relationships, better health, and a deeper sense of purpose. Over 7 years, those small daily shifts create a completely different life. Not because of luck, but because of consistent clarity. The future does not change by accident. It changes when a person decides to sit down, remove distractions, breathe fully, and pay attention to their own life. Those 30 minutes come a doorway. They separate the person they have been from the person they are ready to become. They reveal what is possible when attention is steady and intention is strong. That kind of focus becomes a long-lasting advantage. People feel more in control. They feel more connected to their goals. They feel more alive. And when someone feels alive, they act with passion, and that passion shapes the next 7 years in ways they never imagined. Those 30 minutes matter because they remind a person that the power to change does not sit outside of them. It sits within their own choices, within their own attention, within their own willingness to stop rushing long enough to see the road ahead clearly. When someone understands that, their next 7 years do not just improve, they transform. A person often carries more weight in the mind than on the shoulders, and most of that weight comes from barriers that were never questioned. These barriers appear in quiet moments, in long days, in moments of doubt, and in times when energy feels low. They take the form of thoughts that say change is too hard, or that focus is something only a few people can hold. These barriers do not arrive loudly. They grow slowly, shaping routines and reactions until they feel normal. When someone decides to break through them, the first thing they notice is how much space those thoughts were taking. Breaking these barriers is not about force. It is about clarity. It begins with attention, because attention is the one tool every person already has, and it becomes stronger when used with intention. Many people underestimate how much the mind can do when it is fully present. Attention is not just looking at something, it is giving energy to it. It is choosing to stay with one thought without being pulled away by noise, fear, or past patterns. Most barriers in life are mental, not physical, and they weaken when a person observes them instead of hiding from them. When someone sits down, breathes steadily, and listens to their own thoughts without running from them, those thoughts begin to lose their grip. A person starts to understand what holds them back, and once they understand it, they can change it. That is the moment when attention turns into strength. The mind often repeats old ideas that no longer help. Ideas picked up from childhood, from past failures, from people who lived in fear, from moments that seemed more powerful than they truly were. These ideas build walls that block progress. When someone gives their full attention to these walls, they realize that most of them are thin and can be stepped over. Attention brings truth to the surface. It shines light on the habits that weaken focus. It reveals how often someone interrupts their own progress by believing a thought that was never true. When this awareness appears, barriers start to fall, not all at once, but steadily, piece by piece. To maximize attention, a person must understand how easily the mind gets pulled into places that drain energy. A phone buzzes, a message pops up, a memory drifts in, a worry appears. Without noticing, the mind shifts away from the present moment and focus disappears. When someone trains themselves to notice these shifts, they gain power. They can bring their attention back before the distraction turns into lost time. This practice is simple, but it changes everything. It teaches the mind to stay steady. It teaches the mind to follow intention instead of impulse. When a person builds this skill, they start finishing what they begin. They start thinking more clearly. They start working with a calm that many people spend years trying to find. Mental barriers often come from fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. These fears spread quietly, forming stories that seem real, even though they are only thoughts. When someone looks directly at these fears, they shrink. Fear loses strength when examined. A person starts to see that their fear is only a collection of memories and assumptions, not a sign of their future. Attention helps separate reality from imagination. Reality is what is happening right now. Imagination is what might happen. When a person focuses on what is real, they stop creating storms inside themselves. Their decisions become clearer. Their energy becomes stronger. Their courage becomes real. Another barrier many people face is self-doubt. It shows up in slow steps, in hesitation before trying something new, in avoiding challenges because the mind whispers that failure is likely. But self-doubt dissolves when someone collects proof of their own ability. Proof comes from action. Small actions. Simple actions. Actions that show the mind that effort leads somewhere. When a person gives full attention to the task in front of them, they build this proof. They create results. Not giant results at first, but enough to remind them that progress is possible. These small results become the foundation that supports bigger steps. Maximizing attention also requires a person to take control of their environment. The mind becomes what it consumes. If a person surrounds themselves with noise, confusion, or negativity, their attention scatters. But when they create a space that supports calm and focus, their mind settles. This does not require luxury or perfection. It only requires intention. A quiet corner, a clean surface, a moment without interruptions. When a person chooses an environment that supports focus, their attention becomes easier to manage. The mind responds to surroundings more than most people realize. A supportive environment becomes a partner in breaking through barriers. A person can also build stronger attention by giving their mind one task at a time. Many people try to handle several things at once, and this only weakens their energy. When someone chooses one task and stays with it until it is finished, they experience the strength of their own mind. They discover that completing one task with full attention brings more progress than starting 10 tasks without finishing them. This approach builds confidence. It reduces stress. It creates a sense of order inside the mind. Over time, it becomes a habit, and habits shape the future. Fatigue is another barrier that weakens attention. When a person ignores their physical needs, their mental power drops. Rest, water, food, fresh air, and movement all support focus. A tired mind cannot break barriers. But a rested and nourished mind becomes sharp. It becomes alert. It becomes responsible with energy instead of careless. Taking care of the body is not separate from building attention. It is part of the foundation. When the body feels strong, the mind follows. To maximize attention, a person must also protect it from negativity. Negativity is heavy. It drains focus. It distracts the mind from progress. When someone chooses to step away from negative voices, negative habits, and negative environments, their attention becomes lighter. They begin to think more clearly. They stop wasting energy on arguments or situations that bring no growth. This kind of protection strengthens the mind and keeps barriers from returning. A powerful shift happens when someone learns to stay present. The present moment is the only place where action lives. The past cannot be changed. The future is shaped by what is done today. When someone focuses on the present, they feel more alive. They feel more aware. They feel more capable. The present moment becomes the ground where barriers crumble, where focus becomes a habit, where attention becomes a strength instead of a struggle. Breaking through mental barriers is not about talent or luck. It is about attention. The mind becomes stronger every time a person chooses to stay focused. With every moment of steady attention, barriers become smaller. With every moment of quiet awareness, new possibilities appear. With every moment of honest self-reflection, a person becomes more prepared for the future they want to build. When someone understands this, they begin living with intention instead of reaction, and that shift becomes the foundation for every strong year that follows. Small changes carry a strength that most people overlook. Because the mind is trained to look for dramatic shifts, big events, sudden breakthroughs, or moments that feel like instant success. But life rarely works that way. A strong future grows from tiny adjustments repeated with steady intention. The kind of shifts that seem almost too small to matter at first. These small choices stack quietly, shaping routines, shaping results, shaping confidence, and shaping the direction of a person's life without needing loud announcements or dramatic effort. When someone begins to understand the power hidden inside these small shifts, they stop waiting for the perfect moment and start using the moment they have right now. And that simple decision becomes the beginning of lasting habits that stand strong through the next year, the next decade, and beyond. Most people want change but fear the effort they imagine it will take. They picture the climb instead of the first step. They imagine a heavy load instead of the simple action that starts the journey. When someone replaces those fears with a single, small shift, everything begins to feel lighter. The mind responds well to small steps because they don't trigger resistance. They don't overwhelm. They don't feel impossible. A small shift might be waking up 10 minutes earlier to breathe and think about the day. It might be choosing water instead of something that drains energy. It might be taking a quiet walk to clear the mind. It might be pausing before reacting. Now, it might be writing down one thought that brings clarity. These actions seem tiny, but they build discipline without pressure, and discipline built without pressure becomes a habit that stays. People often underestimate how habits shape identity. A habit is not just something a person does, it becomes part of who they are. When someone creates a small positive habit, they teach themselves that their time has value, their choices have power, and their future can be shaped by the actions they repeat consistently. This understanding creates a sense of stability inside the mind. It gives a person something solid to stand on when life becomes uncertain. A small shift becomes a reminder that progress is within reach every day. The more a person repeats these shifts, the more they begin to trust themselves, and that trust becomes a powerful foundation for deeper change. There is something refreshing about discovering that major progress does not require dramatic sacrifice. It requires consistency. The human mind changes slowly but permanently when exposed to repeated patterns. A person who makes one small change every day sets the stage for long-term results that feel natural instead of forced. And when results feel natural, motivation becomes easier to maintain. Suddenly, progress is not a struggle. It becomes part of the day. That is how lasting habits are built. Not through pressure, but through steady commitment to small actions that honor growth. A powerful change happens inside a person when they notice their habits shifting. They feel more in control. They feel more capable. They begin to notice energy rising instead of falling. Their mood becomes lighter. Their decisions become more aligned with the life they want to build. These improvements might not be noticeable to others right away, but they are deeply felt by the person experiencing them. Small habits create internal confidence because they remind the mind that growth is possible through consistent effort. This confidence becomes the fuel that keeps the habit alive, turning small shifts into big impact. Another benefit of small shifts is that they reduce the pressure of perfection. Many people avoid new habits because they fear failure. They worry about slipping, forgetting, or falling behind. But small habits remove that fear because they are easy to restart. A missed day does not destroy the progress. It simply becomes another reminder to begin again, and beginning again builds mental strength. It reminds a person that consistency matters more than perfection. This mindset protects the habit from collapsing under stress. It keeps the person moving forward, even when life gets busy or challenging. Small shifts also help a person recognize what parts of their life need improvement without judgment. A small change brings awareness. Awareness brings understanding. Understanding brings better decisions. For example, a person who spends a few minutes each day reviewing their choices begins to notice which habits slow them down. They see which routines drain energy and which ones create strength. This awareness helps them remove unhealthy habits while replacing them with healthy ones. The process becomes smooth instead of stressful because it is guided by clarity instead of guilt. Every lasting habit begins with a strong reason. A person does not continue a habit simply because they started it. They continue because they feel the benefits. A small shift becomes a lasting habit when it genuinely improves daily life. When someone notices that a small change helps them think more clearly, sleep better, handle stress more calmly, or feel more motivated, their mind becomes attached to that habit. It becomes something they look forward to instead of something they force themselves to do. This emotional connection is what keeps habits alive, even during hard times. Small shifts also strengthen willpower. Willpower does not grow by taking on huge challenges. It grows by handling manageable tasks. Each small habit becomes a training session for the mind, teaching it how to follow through. Over time, the mind becomes stronger, more focused, and more disciplined. This inner strength then spreads into other areas of life. Decisions become easier. Distractions lose their power. Goals become clearer. A person finds themselves taking bigger steps naturally, not because they were forced to, but because their mind is prepared for it. When someone commits to improving their life through small shifts, they begin to feel the environment around them change as well. People respond differently to someone who carries discipline and calm. Opportunities appear more often for someone who shows steady growth. Even challenges become easier to manage because the person has built a habit of staying grounded. These subtle changes may not be dramatic at first, but they are powerful. They shape the next month, the next year, and eventually the next 7 years in ways that feel meaningful and natural. Small shifts also create momentum. Momentum is the feeling that progress keeps building even when effort is small. Once momentum begins, it becomes easier to add more healthy habits without feeling overwhelmed. One good habit invites another. Improvement creates another. Momentum becomes a supportive force that carries a person forward, helping them stay consistent even when motivation fades. This momentum is one of the most valuable results of small shifts because it turns growth into a long-term experience instead of a short burst of effort. By choosing small shifts daily, a person begins to craft a life that feels steady, meaningful, and aligned with their goals. The mind becomes clearer, the emotions become calmer, the decisions become wiser. These small actions grow roots, turning into habits that last for years. And when habits last, the future improves naturally without struggle. That is how small shifts create big impact, not overnight, but consistently, quietly, and powerfully. Through these simple actions, a person steps into a future shaped by intention and strengthened by habits that carry them forward with confidence and purpose. Setting goals is not enough to make them happen. The most successful people are not always the most talented. They're the ones who understand how to plan, how to structure their days, and how to align their energy with the outcomes they desire. It's easy to set big goals, but it's a whole different thing to actually create a roadmap that takes you from where you are to where you want to be. That's the difference between dreaming and doing. Strategic planning is the tool that turns vision into action. And the most powerful part of strategic planning is aligning your goals for the next 7 years. If you can get your goals aligned with your life's vision, the years ahead will be filled with purpose, direction, and the kind of success that doesn't just happen by chance. It happens because you intentionally shaped it. Most people never really get clear on what they want. They have a vague idea of success, of happiness, of what they want to achieve, but they haven't broken it down into actionable steps. They haven't thought through the process that will take them from where they are now to where they want to be. And that's where many people get stuck. Without a clear path, it's easy to lose focus, to get distracted, and to feel like you're working hard but not making any progress. When you don't know where you're going, it's hard to stay motivated. But that's why setting clear, actionable goals and aligning them with a strategic plan for the next 7 years is one of the most powerful things you can do for your future. The first step in strategic planning is to take a step back and assess where you are right now. Be honest with yourself. Where do you stand in terms of your health, your finances, your relationships, your career, and your personal growth? The clearer you are about your starting point, the easier it will be to map out a plan for the future. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have everything figured out right away. It just means being real with yourself about where you are and where you want to go. Most people avoid this step because it can be uncomfortable to face the truth about where they are, but it's the only way to build a solid foundation. You can't build a great future on a shaky present. So take an honest look at your life right now and identify the areas that need improvement. Once you've assessed where you are, it's time to decide where you want to go. Start with your big picture goals. What do you want to achieve in the next 7 years? Do you want to build a successful business? Do you want to get in the best shape of your life? Do you want to improve your relationships or grow spiritually? Your goals should be a reflection of your core values, the things that matter most to you. These are the goals that will drive you to take consistent action, even when it's hard. When your goals are connected to your values, they feel meaningful and inspiring, not like tasks on a to-do list. Now, this is where most people stop. They think about their goals, maybe write them down, and then expect everything to fall into place. But without a clear strategy, your goals will remain dreams. That's why the next step is to break those long-term goals down into smaller, manageable steps. This is where the magic happens. A goal that seems overwhelming, like I want to build $1 million business, becomes much more achievable when you break it down into monthly or even weekly tasks. What do you need to do this month to move closer to that goal? What do you need to do this week? What's the first step? When you break big goals into smaller steps, they don't seem so daunting, and you can take steady action every day that gets you closer to your destination. As you continue working toward your goals, make sure to track your progress. This is another area where many people slip up. They get so caught up in the daily grind that they forget to step back and evaluate whether they're on track.